I want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. Who are the watchers in Daniel chapter 4, verse 17? Well, whomever submitted this question, as I like to do on Wednesday nights, you've opened up the can. What we discovered in the book of Daniel, even though there's these great dreams and visions that Daniel interprets for Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, and all these other characters, there is a lot of what we might call spiritual warfare, or kind of a glimpse into the spiritual world. I mean, after all, you have the prince of Greece and the prince of Persia that show up in chapters 10 and 11. You have all kinds of things like the fourth man in the fire, a possible Christophany in chapter 3. But one thing you discover in chapter 4 of Daniel is there's a group of entities that are referred to as the watchers, who oversee these messengers or representatives of God. And there's been all kinds of folklore and all kinds of thoughts that have been put in place. So let's just kind of look at this from the scope of what we might refer to as angelology, the study of angelic beings. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 1:14, they are the messengers of God. They are spirits of God. Great, got that. There's basic run-of-the-mill angels, which are not very run-of-the-mill, but nonetheless, they do show up in a multitude of places. There are only 3 angels in the Bible that bear names. There is Michael, Gabriel, and whom we know as Lucifer, who obviously became Satan. The Bible also speaks of seraphim, which tend to be the angels of a holy realm around the throne of God, and the cherubim. The cherubim on the throne of God, the seraphim are the holiness blocking the Garden of Eden. Now, why is that important? Because in Daniel, there's this other group called the Watchers. And there's been a lot of thoughts about it and not a whole lot of clarity. Is it an angelic classification? Is it specific spiritual entities that watch over humanity? And again, one of the things that I would caution each and every one of us is reading folklore into the Bible rather than reading the Bible into our lives. They're not mentioned much. They're mentioned as overseeing, watching, observing, and they're mentioned as being spiritual entities. And so, therefore, I would venture to say that not a classification of the angelic beings, but is it possible that maybe it is a designation of, a role of, an ability to, an assignment of? They're not mentioned like cherubim. They're not mentioned like seraphim. They don't have names, but they are mentioned as being spiritual entities by the direction and under the direction of God. So that being said, I know I haven't really answered the question because I don't know if we really can concretely. We do know the Bible speaks of them. They have a very important role. They're under the direction and the guidance of God Himself, and somehow, some way, in that spiritual world, which we can't see with our eyes or hear with our ears, they play an incredibly valuable role. Great question. If you have one, send it to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.